Top of the morning to you, I'm not Jacksepticeye, and welcome to another video. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Whatever, let's keep going. Also, different Batman shirt. There's a lot of Batman merchandise, so obviously some stuff is going to look the same. Anyway, but we're not here to talk about, fake Irish accents or Batman stuff. We're here to talk about Leatherface and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So yesterday, it was announced that it was announced more news about the new Leatherface movie, or Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, coming, I believe they said this year, or they moved it to 2022. I don't know. But yeah, they revealed some more news on this new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, which the timeline isn't fucked up already. Oh, am I right? Anyway. So, let's talk about this news. And yes, it did come out yesterday. I was too tired, and by the time the news got to me, I was like, fuck, it's too late and I'm too tired to talk about this news, so I'll do it in the morning. So here we are now. So that news is that this new movie is not, which we all assumed was going to be another reboot, is actually more of a, is not. It's more of a direct sequel, which they've been doing lately with the Texas Chainsaw movies, especially the last two movies, which Texas Chainsaw 3D was meant to be the direct sequel to the original film, and then they did Leatherface, which was a prequel to the original movie. Both of those movies sucked. Really sucked. Well, to be fair, Texas Chainsaw, the beginning of that film, like the first 10 minutes of that movie, where it had Gunnar Hansen and Bill Moseley in those roles, really cool. They created the whole scene from scratch, good on them. But the moment that whole scene ends with the standoff, I'm like, alright, I'm gonna head out. The rest of that movie is so fucking bad. But no, this is going the Halloween 40 years later route, in that it is going to disregard every other sequel and prequel and be just a direct sequel to the movie. Confused yet? Yeah. I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre has more conflicting timelines than fucking, it has more conflicting timelines than Halloween does at sometimes. I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street and Jason don't have this. It's basically like, okay, sequel movies, Freddy vs. Jason, and the respective reboots. But that's it. But Halloween, Michael and Leatherface have more conflicting timelines. Like, you need a roadmap. But let's not talk about, conflicting timelines and whatever. Let's talk about this. Now, I kind of figured that they were going to do something like this for a while. When they said, we're doing a new movie, and everyone instantly... Because they never said, it was going to be a reboot flat out. Like, they never flat out said... they never said that it was going to be a flat out reboot. They never at any point said that this was going to be a flat out reboot. So I had a feeling that I was like, alright, there's a chance it might be a reboot, but there's a chance... But I really think it's going to be going the route of Halloween, in that it is just going to disregard all the other movies and just be a new sequel to the original film. Which I've noticed that's becoming a bigger trend in Hollywood. That's becoming a bigger and bigger trend in Hollywood, to just basically disregard continuity and just be like a true sequel to the original film. If we ever have another Jaws movie, that's probably what they'll do, and probably for the best, because... while I do like Jaws 2, 3 and 4 can eat hot shit. And not like, ooh, it's hot shit. It's more like, no, go eat shit that's been sitting out in the sun for about a day. Just wet, diarrhea, corn-filled, shat out by a hobo, so that's probably full of cocaine. I'm getting too much in depth with this. This is gross. I'm gonna move on. So, that's what I meant. I am having too much fun with this video. Anyway. So where was I go? Oh, yes. So, let's talk about that. Let's talk about this new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, and what that could ensue. Now, the big thing they did say is that, yes, while it is also going to be a direct sequel to the original movie, and going to ignore all the other movies, what's going to happen is that we are going to be getting Old Man Leatherface. Sadly, that does not mean we're going to get Gunnar Hansen because he is sadly no longer with us. So, but Old Man Leatherface, that's a cool idea. I really dig the idea of Leatherface being like on his own and no one really around. But here's the thing: is that Leatherface has always been like the most quotations innocent of the Sawyer family. Because yes, he is he's mentally ill, and his brothers have always been kind of like picking on him in the original film, and he's more like he's also like a victim, because when you look, like a lot of film analysts have been like, yeah, Leatherface was protecting his home, because wouldn't you freak out if you saw a bunch of people just randomly walk into your house? You're gonna freak out. I know I freaked out. In fact, I did freak out when someone I didn't know entered my house once. It's not a fun experience. I totally side with Leatherface when someone breaks into your home. But what was I saying? Oh yeah. So in here, the idea of Leatherface. Now we don't know if the rest of the Sawyer family is going to be part of the gang. We don't know if the rest of the Sawyer. We don't know if Drayton's going to be here. Probably not, because that actor is sadly no longer with us. And if we're going by the original continuity, Grandpa by this point is already gone. Nubbins is dead, and there really wasn't anybody else in the family. Unless they add more random family members, there's always a chance for that. But the idea of Leatherface being on his own and not really having anybody there, it's a really neat idea. It's like Leatherface has always been like a bomb to be used by no matter what family he's in or what continuity. It always feels like his family use him like a WMD. So what do you do when that weapon no longer has like someone to aim it at? Like, what do you do when no one's there to put the reins on Leatherface? Like, that's an idea that they wanted. I feel like they wanted to originally do with Texas Chainsaw 3D, but like it just didn't get all the way there. Like, that's the big thing, is that it just didn't. There's a lot of problems with Texas Chainsaw 3D, but yeah, that's what I'm really curious about. Is that what are you going to do with a Leatherface that is on his own? He's older. He is, possibly alone. We don't know if we're going to see any other members or add new members to the Sawyer family, and how that's going to play out. We really don't know. But the idea of Leatherface being on his own, while it was kind of explored a little bit, not really, but like it was brought up in Texas Chainsaw 3D, the idea wasn't really fully explored, and I'd like to see that. Because again, Leatherface was a dude who, had his family with him, and even though they abused him, that was the only family he ever knew. So what are you going to do when he's all alone? I imagine it's a lot. I feel like this movie is going to be a better. The more I think about it, and the more like details I see about this movie, the more I'm like, you're just doing Texas Chainsaw 3D, but it sounds like you're learning from the past mistakes. That's how I feel they're going. Is that what's probably going on? Is that this is going to be like a retread of Texas Chainsaw 3D. But this movie will do it in a more R rating, and will be more, like, aggressive, if that's a word. Let's be real, there hasn't been a really good Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. Like, there's been no real good sequel to Texas Chainsaw. Yeah, and yes, a lot of people, myself included, really do love Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. It's such a fun cult movie, but can you compare? It's really hard to stack up with the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. Even Tobe Hooper knew he couldn't top that. Why do you think he went so balls out with Part 2? Because even he knew, there is no goddamn way I can top that. I'm just gonna go balls out crazy. And that's the problem, I think, with a lot of the sequels, is that they try to be the next big Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. And there's a part of me that's worried that this movie might do the same. But I am open-minded to this idea of, an older Leatherface, possibly on his own. His family's not there. I would, however, like to see them recast Drayton again, and maybe get Bill Moseley, who played Drayton and also played Chop Top in Part 2, but he came back to play Drayton real quick in Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 3, 3D, And it'd be kind of cool to see him like play like Drayton again. He actually put on a lot of the looks of the original actor who played Drayton. But yeah, we'll just it's at the end of the day, it's one of those I guess we'll just have to wait and see kind of moments. So you guys tell me in the comments below, what do you guys think of this new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie? Are you guys excited or are you guys not? I don't really do a lot of videos on Texas Chainsaw Massacre, probably because a lot of the movies are really bad, especially the newer movies. But let's hope this is good. And like I said, we've been seeing this trend, especially for horror movies, where they ignore all the continuity except the original movie. And again, I'm pretty sure if we ever get another Nightmare on Elm Street movie, that's probably what they're going to do. That's also the case of what's probably going to happen whenever we get a new Friday the 13th movie, whenever that bullshit is done legally. Yeah, Michael's getting a new movie. Michael's got a new trilogy. Freddy's may come back. Ghostface is getting a new movie. Leatherface is getting a new movie. Candyman is getting a new movie. Chucky's got a new TV series. Meanwhile, Jason's in the corner crying. Anyway, so once again, I'm Mr. Multiverse, and I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.